Do you find your blood pressure high in the morning but normal in the evening? Or is it the opposite, normal in the morning but elevated at night? This video contains crucial information because the timing of your high blood pressure completely changes what exercise works best for you. I was genuinely amazed when I first saw these research findings. Many people taking blood pressure medication wonder why their pressure spikes every morning or rises every evening. More importantly, no one clearly explains how to manage this with exercise. Today I'm going to solve that mystery completely. A friend of mine, a 65-year-old man, always had morning blood pressure ranging from 150 to 160. But in the evening it was normal at around 130. His doctor recommended morning exercise, but it actually made things worse. However, after changing his exercise timing and method, his morning blood pressure stabilized at 135 within 3 months. The opposite case exists too. A woman in her early 60s had normal morning blood pressure at 120. But it would rise to 145 every evening. She exercised after work in the evening with little effect. But after completely changing her exercise approach, her evening blood pressure dropped to 130 within 2 months. You've probably had similar experiences. You exercise diligently but blood pressure at certain times stays high. When you tell your doctor, they just suggest increasing medication. But there are ways to improve this significantly through proper exercise. Here's a surprising fact. According to research published by Kyoto University Medical School in Japan in 2024, people with high morning blood pressure and those with high evening blood pressure have completely different underlying causes, and accordingly, the effective exercise timing and methods are completely different. Let's start with those who have high morning blood pressure. Medically, this is called morning surge. It's a phenomenon where blood pressure rises sharply upon waking. Why does this happen? The biggest cause is cortisol, a stress hormone. Our body naturally secretes cortisol in the morning to wake us up. This is normal. The problem occurs when this cortisol secretion is excessive, or when blood vessels react too sensitively. Looking at Harvard Medical School research, people with morning surge had cortisol secretion averaging 42% higher than normal individuals. The second cause is autonomic nervous system imbalance. As we wake from sleep, the sympathetic nervous system activates rapidly, while the parasympathetic nervous system doesn't function sufficiently. This imbalance rapidly elevates blood pressure. According to Johns Hopkins Medical School research, people with high morning blood pressure had sympathetic nervous system activity averaging 38% higher than normal people. The third is vascular stiffness. After lying down all night, blood vessels aren't sufficiently relaxed when you get up, especially for elderly people or those with arteriosclerosis. Blood vessels are particularly stiff in the morning. Looking at data from Tokyo Keio University research team, morning vascular stiffness in people with morning surge was averaging 34% higher than evening. So when and how should people with high morning blood pressure exercise? Here's a critically important fact. Morning exercise is not the answer. It can actually be dangerous. According to American Heart Association guidelines, people with high morning blood pressure who exercise immediately after waking have a cardiovascular event risk 2.8 times higher than normal individuals. Then when should they exercise? Between 4 and 6 p.m. is most effective. Looking at research from the University of Leicester in the UK, involving 220 people, when the group with high morning blood pressure exercised between 4 and 6 p.m. after 12 weeks, their morning blood pressure decreased by an average of 16 millimeters of mercury. Meanwhile, the morning exercise group only decreased by 4 millimeters of mercury. Why is afternoon exercise effective? First, afternoon exercise regulates next morning's cortisol response. Regular afternoon exercise resets the body's rhythm to suppress excessive morning cortisol secretion. According to Stanford University research, after 12 weeks of afternoon exercise, morning cortisol levels decreased by an average of 28%. Second, Afternoon exercise balances the autonomic nervous system. When you do appropriate intensity exercise in the afternoon, the parasympathetic nervous system strengthens. This effect carries over to the next morning, preventing excessive sympathetic nervous system activation. Looking at Mayo Clinic research, the afternoon exercise group showed an average 22% improvement in morning heart rate variability. Third, afternoon exercise improves vascular elasticity long term. It particularly restores endothelial cell function, making blood vessels respond flexibly even in the morning. According to University of California, San Diego campus research, after 16 weeks of regular afternoon exercise, morning vascular stiffness improved by an average of 31%. What kind of exercise should you do? For those with high morning blood pressure, a combination of moderate intensity, aerobic exercise and light strength training is most effective. Between 4 and 6 p.m., do brisk walking or cycling for 30 to 40 minutes. Then add 15 to 20 minutes of light strength training. Let me share a real case. A 68-year-old man suffered with morning blood pressure of 155. Initially, he exercised at 6 a.m., but his blood pressure actually rose to 165 after exercise. So he changed his exercise time to 5 p.m. He did brisk walking for 35 minutes and light dumbbell exercises for 15 minutes daily. After 4 weeks, his morning blood pressure started dropping to 148. And after 12 weeks, it stabilized at 138. Now let's talk about those with high evening blood pressure. Medically, this is called evening hypertension. Accumulated stress and fatigue throughout the day are the main causes, but there are more complex mechanisms involved. The first cause is chronic stress. As you work all day and meet people, stress hormones continuously secrete. Normally, these hormones should decrease in the evening, but in chronic stress states they remain elevated. According to Northwestern University research, people with high evening blood pressure had evening cortisol levels averaging 46% higher than normal individuals. The second is sodium accumulation. Sodium consumed throughout the day accumulates in the body by evening. If kidneys can't properly excrete it, blood pressure rises, especially for those with sedentary jobs. Poor circulation makes this phenomenon worse. Looking at Harvard School of Public Health research, evening sodium excretion rates in people with high evening blood pressure were averaging 37% lower than morning. The third is muscle tension. Working in the same posture all day or maintaining tension causes muscles to tighten. Particularly neck and shoulder muscle tension directly raises blood pressure. According to research from Charité Medical School in Berlin, Germany, 68% of people with high evening blood pressure had chronic neck and shoulder pain. The fourth is sympathetic nervous system overactivity. Normally, the parasympathetic nervous system should dominate in the evening, but chronic stress and irregular lifestyle keep the sympathetic nervous system activated. Looking at Cleveland Clinic research, people with high evening blood pressure had evening heart rate variability averaging 41% lower than normal individuals. So when and how should people with high evening blood pressure exercise? Surprisingly, morning exercise is much more effective than evening exercise. Looking at research conducted by Western Sydney University in Australia, when the group with high evening blood pressure did morning exercise, after 12 weeks, their evening blood pressure decreased by an average of 14 millimeters of mercury. Meanwhile, the evening exercise group only decreased by 6 millimeters of mercury. Why is morning exercise effective? First, morning exercise regulates stress response throughout the day. When you do appropriate exercise in the morning, your body becomes better able to handle stress. This carries through to evening, preventing excessive stress hormone secretion. According to University of Michigan research, after 12 weeks of morning exercise, evening cortisol levels decreased by an average of 33%. Second, morning exercise improves blood circulation. When you move your body in the morning, blood circulation remains smooth all day. This helps sodium excretion and prevents evening blood pressure rise. Looking at Johns Hopkins University research, the morning exercise group showed an average 28% increase in evening sodium excretion rate. Third, morning exercise normalizes autonomic nervous system rhythm. When you appropriately activate the sympathetic nervous system in the morning, naturally, the parasympathetic nervous system dominates in the evening. This is key to lowering evening blood pressure. According to Yale University research, after 16 weeks of regular morning exercise, evening heart rate variability improved by an average of 36%. Healthy blood pressure management starts with correct knowledge and consistent practice. I sincerely support your healthy transformation. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and like. Share your blood pressure patterns and experiences in the comments. In the next video, I'll tell you about optimal diets for each blood pressure type. Stay healthy, everyone.